while in the 2 years, to answer your question now, I've seen that the budget has bloated. 6.3 trillion. 60% plus, plus more than 60% of that 6.3 trillion goes to personal services.
Personal services.
It does not go directly to our people. And then about, I'm not sure if 15, 18% goes to debt servicing. Ano natira sa atin, di ba? And then, yung natira, hindi pa nakikita natin, hindi maganda kung saan napupunta. So, we need really a budget reform, that's one. And I was thinking already, before 2022, I filed a bill on rightsizing.
Yeah.
We have to right-size the government. So that's another thing. I think we need that.
Bakit hindi na napag-usapan yon before you ended your term in 2022?
I did. As a matter of fact, that was the reason na hindi napasa yung Department of Water, Department of Culture, Department of kung ano-ano naisipan ng mga kasama namin at saka ng mga tao sa Executive Department during that time. It was my bill on right-sizing. How can you right-size when you keep on creating new departments? The 60 to 65% bloated personal services will become 70-75%. Because once you put up new departments, there will be departments in all the regions. There will be offices, head offices in all the regions. So the only one that we passed, and as Senate President, the Department of Migrant Workers. Why? We right-sized the government. Because we created that, but we took POEA, OWA, other bureaus in the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Labor into one.
Pinagsama-sama na.
Pinagsama-sama mo, na right-size mo.
If I may raise a counter-argument, Tito Sen, no? Two things. Number one, hindi ba normal naman yung talagang in a growing economy, lalaki yung bureaucracy mo. Number two, hindi ba if we right size, so that entails making government services more efficient, possibly bawasan yung tao, and anong gagawin natin dun sa mga possibly mawalan ng trabaho in that movement?
Correct. The answer to your two questions goes to the first one. Bloated Sabi mo, because of the growing economy, lumalaki tao. Hindi Ibang klase nangyari sa gobyerno natin.
What happened?
And this can be traced all the way back to the time of President Marcos, FM. When President Cory came in, walang inalis, nagdagdag pa. Pagpasok ni Fidel, ni FBR, ganun din.
Dagdag ulit.
Alam mo yung ugali nating Pilipino, nakakaawa naman tanggalan ng trabaho Ganun So, magdadagdag ng bago. Pagdating ng panahon ni Estrada, ni Erap, ganun din. Pagdating ng panahon ni Gloria, ganun din, dagdag na naman. Pagdating ng panahon ni bihirang-bihira yung matanggal pagdating yung panahon ni Noynoy, ganun din, nadagdagan na naman.
Kaso dito sa
Pero
nga natin
kailangan ba? Ang tanong, kailangan ba? Kailangan bang bloated ang Department of ganito, Department of ganyan, DSWD, DPWH, Department of Health, lahat yung departamentong to, mga science and technology. Ano ito? Kailangan ba ito? Lahat na ito? Maybe. But merong mga lugar, merong mga hindi enough For example, kulang ang teachers. Kulang ang police. Kulang ang sundalo. Doon mo ba pwedeng i-right size? Pareho ng ginawa namin sa DMW. Diba? Ganun So my answer is budget reform. Now, how do we do the right size and how do we do the budget reform? My formula is come up with an early retirement program. Come up with a law giving an early retirement program. I made a study. As a matter of fact, this study, I got the idea from a good friend of mine, a businessman, RSA. An early retirement program study will show you that 35 to 40% of people in government right now, nandun sa mga kung saan department, will opt for an early retirement program. Compute 30% na lang. Okay. 6.3 trillion ang budget. 60% na lang, huwag din yung plus na sinasabi ko. 60% goes to personal services. So what is 60% of 6.3? That's 3.5. Approximately 3.5 trillion, give or take. Ano? So 3.5 trillion na budget natin for personal services, alisin mo 30% na mag-u-opt ng early retirement program. O, ang matitira, ang maaalis mo doon, about 1
1.8.
point something, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 trillion. You will be freeing 1.7 trillion in every year. Ang tanong, siyempre, tatanong ng mga critics, saan mo kukunin
Where do
yung
we get the
pambayad ng
money?
early retirement program? Yun ang uutangin mo sa local banks. Huwag mong iuutang uli na naman sa abroad para madagdagan ng debt servicing natin. Hindi. Sa local banks mo iutang yun. Madali yun. Tsaka ito, puro one shot ito eh. Gusto ng ibang through the years, okay lang. Pero one shot ito eh. Pero every year, you are freeing 1.7 trillion. I mean, how many hospitals, classrooms, and what have you can you do for government with freeing 1.7 trillion pesos of government's money, of the people's money? Hindi ba? Wala, and not only that, to show you how badly we need budget reforms. Senator Lacson and I have been harping about this. In the last 10 to 12 years, we have about average of 328 billion pesos unused every year. Nagbo-bloat na nga tayo ng budget natin, meron pa mga unused.
Unused funds.
Di ba? And unused. Di ba, kung unused, baka abused eh. Yun ang problema. We can make use of that. Instead, by reforming the budget, right-sizing the government. Exactly.
But realistically, Tito Sen, how can we do this? Can we do this, let's say, ma-elect kayo na senador? Do we have enough time to implement this? How much time do we need?
Yes, we can do this. We can do this.
Because we're not just tackling about one law. Maraming aspeto ito. It's the right sizing of the entire government and the budget. Adjustments in the budget.
You start with the budget. And the budget is the most important. Doon mo pwedeng ipasukin yan. Doon mo pwedeng ayusin yan. Like for example, the budget, the General Appropriations Act, is the single most important piece of legislation that we need to pass. And we pass it every year. So you can do it within that year. Within the next year, you can do it with the budget, reforming the budget
Unti-unti.
right then and there. And then propose a bill from outside of the GAA coming up on an early retirement program. Pwede. And in the budget itself, you can make use of the unused already. Give it directly to the people. Hindi yung kung ano-anong mga kasi hindi ako masyadong sold doon sa mga card kung ano-ano yung ganun eh. Kasi what happens is that depende kung kagrupo ka, kapartido ka, kung okay ka eh. Mabibigyan ka eh. Di ba? Makakahingi yung senador, makakahingi yung congressman, o sila maglalagay. Ganun eh. Yung di ka kakilala. So, sa budget reform, sa GAA, ilagay mo kay kakilala o hindi. For example, 1 billion per province. Tagal na sinasabi ni Ping yan eh. 1 billion per province. 82 lang yan eh. 82 billion lang yun.
82 billion.
Kailangan yun, may menu. Ang menu, agriculture, livelihood, infrastructure. Doon mo lang pwedeng gamitin. Hindi pwedeng personal services, ibubulsa eh. Hindi ba? So, with this, you practically federalize the government without changing the Constitution. Kasi binigay mo, yun yung hinahabol ng federalism eh. Na yung sarili nila. Eto, hindi ka na manghihingi. Kahit hindi ka kapartido ng presidente, andun na sa budget. Yung gobernador. And then...
have you talked to President Marcos about his thoughts regarding this push of yours? And ano yung tindig niya? Yung tingin niya regarding this?
I've dropped a hint somehow nung dalawang beses namin pag-uusap eh. I'm very positive that he will be I think he will be positive on this program. For
Kasi
sure. Especially if he finds out, if we explain to him the mechanics of how to go about it. I'm very positive that
Because
he will
if
agree.
you have the president's support, madali lang naman i-certify as urgent ang isang bill kung talagang there is urgency and he sees that as an important thing that we need to apply in the government.
Yes. As a matter of fact, this certification of urgency is only to do away with the 3-day rule. Hindi naman ganun talagang kahalaga yun eh. Kaya may clout na sinabi, certified urgent na presidente yan. Pero what does it do? It only does away with the 3-day rule on third reading. That's the only thing. Pero kung gustong upuan ng mga legislators yan, kaya. At kung gusto rin ipasa ng madalian, kaya. Even without the certification of urgency.